just because my splits have a couple of important reminders on here, they shouldn't show up on my layouts, but I'll have them on the side. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so as I mentioned, this is the Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, the second game in the series. This is my personal favorite in the series. I know at least a few people have their own favorites in the series. The story of this game, if you're unfamiliar with this game, is basically an alien race referred to as the Shroobs, which are these purple mushroom-looking creatures, came from another planet to seek a new home on planet, I don't know what planet Mario and Luigi are on. I'll just assume it's Earth. This is a part of the history of the kingdom that we don't really see anywhere else because they just made it up for this game. But this game does have an actually surprisingly interesting story considering, you know, this is a Mario game. So, this is a fairly difficult game to play and focus on, admittedly. I'll try and give as good commentary as I can. However, I will note that it is a little difficult to focus when you're mashing as hard as you have to mash in this game. So like most Mario RPGs, this game has a group of what are referred to as action commands, which are time button presses. This is Toadsworth, the hardest boss in the game, because he gives us nothing but tutorial prompts that waste our time if we accidentally say yes, and you can't mash B to say no. All 4 of the face buttons on the DS advance text. So X, Y, B, and A. As well as L and R, both advanced text. So that's a tutorial fight. It doesn't actually matter for the sake of completion whether you get all the action commands correct, but it does matter because you do save a few frames here and there by getting all the action commands correct. So, while Baby Bowser here is trying to kidnap Baby Peach, and, you know, getting off to a good start in life, the alien race has finally landed on our planet. And there are a lot of ships. So, back to the present. Coincidentally, I like how they tell us in the form of a news report, the Professor Egad has created a time machine, and Princess Peach wants to take a glimpse into the history of her kingdom to view the past. Of course, naturally, Toadsworth is extremely worried for her safety. Egad assures him that there's nothing to worry about, that there's a 99.9999999% chance that she will be okay. The percentage actually increases between versions. In Japanese, it's only 99.99999, so 5 times. In this one, it's 9999999, which is like 7 times. So I guess what they're saying is Europeans and Americans are more confident in their percentages. Anyway, so he passes out, and we need to go get him a refreshed room. Movement in this game is all done on D-pad, so a lot of this comes down to trying to optimize movement. The early portion of this run is admittedly fairly low on glitches and tech, but starting about 40 minutes into the run, we get into a lot of game-breaking stuff. Although we have started to break this game, we still have quite a number of options, and we still also play through most of the game in its entirety. It's relatively limited on its sequence breaks of what I would consider the meat of the game. Yeah, the North American version came out first, so that's why the Japanese version and European version are actually preferred, because the original version, while people generally like this game, one of the common complaints was that bosses take way too much damage to kill, so they toned it down in this version. This is most egregious in the final boss, which is why I'm running European. Just, it saves time to not have to do as many turns in battle. Anyways, the time-traveling machine has come back completely destroyed, and an alien pops out of it. So, get a tutorial battle here with the Junior Shrew Boy. This introduces us to kind of one of the most important things to note about this game, which is that all attacks in this game can be dodged, and many of them can be countered. This means that this allows us to beat the game at incredibly low levels. Slowing down a bit there to make sure I don't actually say yes to the tutorials, because it costs me like 7 seconds if I do. Alright, so he has 20 HP. It's a pretty easy fight, and we get to level 2. This game has a level up slot where you can choose your stats at the end of every level up. And then there's a wheel that rolls on the screen, allowing you to decide whether you want to, or rather, allowing you to boost your stat by a bonus. Early on, it goes up to 4 for the babies and 3 for the adults. It is completely 100% manipulable because the wheel is consistent. It's always going to be a 2, 1, 3, 1, 2 setup, so I always know when the 3 is coming up. So I can basically get the level up that I need every time. Although it is a pretty tight window, so I still mess it up from time to time. Hey, if it isn't TuxDev. Hi, TuxDev. Hello, everybody. I know I've seen a lot of faces pop in here that frequent my stream, so I haven't had time to say hello to everybody. Thank y'all for showing up. So a wormhole opened up in the castle gardens, and Toadsworth here inadvertently knocks Luigi into it. So we go after our dingus little brother. And so this is a wormhole into the past. Yeah, anytime you see Egad, there's a reference to Luigi's Mansion where his unique theme music starts to play. So the professor decided to send us a briefcase with a personality. Sadly, you don't see Stuffwell in any of the other games. But anyway, he's basically kind of Mario and Luigi's voice in this game, because they've kind of shown to be silent protagonists over the years. Unfortunately, one of the problems that comes about with the earlier games in this series is there's a lot of tutorials, so we're going to have to get through a decent number of those. Thankfully, the longer the series went on, the more and more of them they let you skip. You know, I'm not really sure what the lore is behind the Mario Brothers. I know they've always said that Luigi is the younger, but that's really about it. And of course our way back out has just vanished on us, so we're gonna have to find another way to get back to the future. Also, one of the things I love about this game is just how many cutscenes are just really fun to watch, even without any written dialogue. Those cutscenes are also nice because they give me a break on my hands. Because mashing I have to put my thumb between the 4 face buttons and mash and mash L and R alongside it. Kind of starts to wear on your thumbs a little bit. Just your hands in general. The Mario Brothers movie. We don't talk about the Mario Brothers movie. This is just a basic tutorial for overworld movement. Mario will always be controlled by the A button, Luigi will always be controlled by the B button. This is true in battle as well. So to move on, I need to hit all these blocks. And that is the first time I've ever gotten that quickly. There's like a technique to it, and I've never quite gotten it consistent, so that's good. So this is stair hopping, or stair jumping. Whenever you go up a staircase, it just cuts your horizontal momentum in half. But if you turn perpendicular to the stairs and jump parallel to the stairs, you can maintain your speed. So right as we approach this nearby town, the town gets attacked by what this toad refers to as dank purple mushrooms. A little bit more stair jumping here. Do the Mario. There's not enough arm swinging in this game. Alright, so this is combat tutorial. Especially introducing that Luigi is controlled by a separate button. Another thing to note, and Stuffwell makes mention of this, is every enemy has a, oh shoot. Well, I got the tutorial prompt. Wasn't gonna avoid all of them. This one is one of the least time consuming. But basically what he tells me there is that, Luigi's controlled by B, and every enemy has its own tell on its attacks, which will say, like, who it's gonna target. So Luigi just got hit. More menu tutorials. I do agree, I like Stuffwell a little bit more than Starlo. Stuffwell has some interesting character quirks. Like anytime he's done, you'll say, "Back to adventure," in all caps. This game has a lot of charm. It's one of the things that I've enjoyed about it most. So this town is getting utterly destroyed, and all of its civilians are being kidnapped. At least you can say one thing about the Shroobs, is they kidnap everybody. They don't... If anything, they probably treat the princess with more respect than they do the toads. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Anyway, so we're gonna try and see if we can't find any remaining townsfolk. So, Halloween's over, which means that we're starting our Christmas season already. Because the modern day Christmas seems to start in November, so get ready for your Christmas caroling, everybody. I think that might be actually why the Shroobs are here. They just really don't like Christmas. Remake of Superstar Saga, the game that preceded this, came out recently. I actually really like the remake. Just Toad decides to do nothing and just stand there. You know, complete aside, because we are at a fairly slow portion of the game, I always wonder how, like, Australians feel about watching, like, South Americans in general feel about watching Christmas stuff when it's snowing. Because I know in the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas happens in the summer. Like, just, well, holidays in general, I should say. So this fight's scripted that you cannot win. In fact, in this version, you can't even get the first shroob unless you're, I think, max level, which I think you can get up to level 3. I think both versions are worth playing. Superstar Saga is a little on the dated side, so some quality of life improvements were really welcome, in my opinion. Alright, meanwhile, on the Koopa Cruiser, because Bowser's ship decided to save us, we get plenty of baby rage. Alright, so I do want to see a quick poll from chat. Do we want to see Baby Peach crying? Because I can mute the DS for like a brief moment. She has one other instance later on in this area where she cries extremely obnoxiously. And I'm wondering how badly you guys want that. I do it on my stream sometimes, but I'll do it just for you guys. So here we're going to pick up a couple items. These aren't actually for any real use, they're more for selling. Thankfully, unlike Superstar Saga, if you're familiar with that run, this game does not actually have a super tight money route, and that'll be because of a glitch that I'll get into about an hour into the run. I'm seeing more yeses than no, so don't worry, it only happens once. And I really would not want the Chaos Dunk to happen. So, the ship here notices that there's a couple of downed civilians and a few shroobs celebrating. So, like, should we save them? Baby Bowser's like, I don't want to do that, it's snack time. You get the most annoying baby crying in the game. In fact, it's so annoying that he decides, fine, I'll land the ship if it gets her to shut up. But Bowser, being the lazy little kid that he is, doesn't want to do anything, so he sends Baby Mario and Baby Luigi off to save the day. So it's time to save our future selves. I suppose it may be a little bit more annoying because I tend to stream with the game audio a little bit higher on my own end. So, the babies, as opposed to the adults, are controlled on the X and Y face buttons. And this is the first of the bros attacks, which I want to focus on this, but basically it's a combination attack. These are going to be the bread and butter of combat for the rest of the game. So I need to do 11 hits on the first one, and 14 on the second one. It's surprisingly easy to drop, so I'm glad I got it first try there. Alright. So the Bros attacks get a little bit more complicated as the run goes on. And unique to this game is the bros items. So instead of having like an MP or BP stat like the rest of the games do, this one solely uses items. Complicated and broken. That's a pretty good way of describing it. They're broken if you're really good at some of them. Which I should make mention. I've run this game for quite a while, but I'm not the best runner of this game. If you want to follow the best runner of this game, go follow Snowion, S-N-O-I-O-N. Him and I have been working with a few other runners to get this game down in the last year. And it's been kind of nice seeing this game develop over the last year. He did a run about 2 months ago for the Mario RPG Marathon. And you may be wondering, like, what's different about this run now as opposed to 2 months ago? The biggest difference is a group of glitches were found in the span of about a week that cut off about... Well, it really depends, because one of the glitches cuts out so much of the game that we actually had to add more in the game, because the amount that we cut out made the run very, very, very problematic. So, the route I'm doing is actually a more marathon-oriented route. I believe you could save probably 10 to 15 more minutes, but it's so ridiculously unsafe, and it results in a 50-minute final boss. So, it's a little bit more enjoyment out of the game on this route. So, as you see on the top screen here, Princess Shrew makes direct contact with us and we don't understand anything she says. So she shoots a missile off and we don't have enough ammunition to fire back at it. So we're just going to crash land onto Bowser's castle. And in many ways, that's really where the run starts to take off. Yeah, the final boss in this route takes closer to 20 minutes, but that's because there are 3 phases. Like you said, it's better than the NA version. Those bosses take a long time, because on the NA version, bosses have... The final boss has a combined 9,500 health across 3 phases. In this version, it's been toned down to 5,500 across all 3. Gonna do a little trick there to save some time. I could do some fancier jumps here, but they're really risky, and I am not as practiced on them. Fun fact, actually, the developers of Super Mario RPG went on to work for Alpha Dream and had a direct hand in making this game. So, in a way, it definitely has some influence from Square. It's not the only boss that has that problem, but it is the most egregious one, because every boss in this game you can beat without taking damage, but the final boss has some attacks that you just can't count on dodging every single time. So we have finally met with our baby selves yet again. And here's going to be the part where we get to one of the main overworld mechanics, which is that we have access to all 4 of them. So the adults will start to piggyback the babies on their back. Also, did I mention there's babies in this game? So there will be plenty of crying. But it's not that bad. It's not Yoshi's Island level. It's definitely not Yoshi's Island level. Yippee! Also, Baby Luigi is the best character in this game. So, if at any time you're separated, whoops, wrong section. Anytime you're separated, you can alternate between the babies and the adults. They kind of are, Dagrath, parenting themselves. Anyway, so you split them up. This here introduces the warp pipes, which are incredibly handy, not only because they help with routing this game, but they also prevent a ton of soft locks that would otherwise be caused by some of the glitches we're going to be doing later on in the game. Oops. The first glitch will actually be performed about 39 to 41 minutes, depending on how good our pace is, which our pace is pretty decent right now. Oops. So, this teaches us about the piggybacking growth attacks. These won't be used much in the run. But it does introduce us to how the babies can affect battle. So here you see I'm actually doing more damage because I'm getting the spin with Baby Mario. Goombas have exactly 13 HP, and I'm going to be deliberately missing missing both of these attacks, because if I kill the Goomba, Kamakir is going to call forth another one here, so this just saves a little bit of time, because now I can just have Luigi jump on the Goomba and kill it. And this means after this next turn I will have killed the Boo. So it saves an extra turn there. It's also scripted to only attack Luigi, otherwise this fight would have been over before he got his last attack off. So, although this isn't really glitchy, there are some interesting route tricks here. So here we're going to look away from the Boo because that gets its attention, and we're going to throw the babies because what that does is if you're close to an enemy hitbox when you switch characters, it sets the game to a state similar to whenever you run away from a battle. And that means that the encounter will not trigger for at least a couple of seconds. Currently about 6 people speedrun the game. I think everyone in the community has done a run at least in the last year. When I started, it was only 3 people, so it's kind of been neat to see this game grow and develop over the last year. It's also had a ton of changes. To explain some of the stats, HP, strength, and defense are all pretty self-explanatory. Speed is the order of which things happen in battle. And stash, well, I gotta dodge this tutorial. have to say no 3 times. But Stash, it makes it so that you buy things at stores for cheaper. You can sell them for more. And it increases your chance that you will get a lucky hit. I'm a little careful here that I don't fall off, because falling off just stinks. Dodge the bullet bill. There we go. That's most of Bowser's Castle. No, my PB is not a 352. My PB is a 340, which I got offline. Alright, so I'll do a bit of this in the dark room. Snowion can do this without looking. I've done it like once before, and that was in a practice run, so I'll just play it out safe, even if it wastes a little bit of time. Oops, wrong button. So this here is a part of something we saw in a very early on cutscene, which is the Cobalt Star. And apparently it's been broken into pieces. The way the Cobalt Star works is, it's effectively the MacGuffin plot device of this game. And it was the engine that powered the time machine, so... So we reached the end of Bowser's Castle, and this is where we're going to start to... Well, not quite yet. Not till the next area.
Let's go! Oh yeah.
I like the term MacGuffin as well. Basically a plot device. Thanks for the good luck, Green Bean. So we're back to the future. So I'll probably be saying that a lot. Should make mention, although you do see some classic Mario tunes in this game, there's some pretty cool original songs to the soundtrack as well. And this game was composed by Yoko Shimomura, who composed Mario RPG, the Kingdom Hearts series, and a number of other cult classic games. So the Cobalt Star seems to be reacting to the shroob here that we have in a test chamber. And it seems to drive the creature mad, so that's kind of our first hint that the Cobalt Star has some sort of weird relationship to the shroobs. So we kind of think of it as a deterrent. It also proceeds to break the fourth wall and go to the top screen, which I assume is just the game's way of telling me it left the room to go point out another time hole. This is not the worst of Mario 4 Mario and Luigi games. Personally, I think it's the best one, but that's my own opinion. I think the first 3 are all really solid, and then Dream Team, of course, did absolutely nothing wrong, so that kind of has to be taken out of the equation. I mean, for as many conversations as there are about the best and worst games in a series, all of this game's I think every game in this series is legit really good. We're gonna go to the next time hole. Egad theorizes that the different star shards are trying to find each other, like this cobalt star is trying to complete itself again. I do think some of the people who have things they don't like about this game, I think a lot of it comes from how much of a marathon final boss the North American version is, which thankfully got toned down considerably on the Japanese and European releases. Alright, so this is Toadwood Forest. It's kind of got this cool little tribal music to it, and I really like it. You can activate this cutscene by throwing the babies. I learned this by accident. I don't know if it saves time, but it's kind of funny to see how it happen. Bowser's Inside Story is really inactive. The game is fairly slow and not very broken, so fewer people actually run the game. And it hasn't been very active in a while. People have been trying to find ways to break the game, but it hasn't shown a lot of success. So this girl here came with Peach to the past, and she tells us essentially what happened, that as soon as they arrived, everything was blown up, the Shroops came in, and Princess Shroop captured the princess. And then, while she escaped, this girl, Toad, came here to Toadwood Forest, where toads get captured by the trees, and, have their energy basically sucked out of them. And it's being siphoned over to the nearby factory, so we kind of need to put a stop to that. But first we need to actually be able to get there, so a little careful here to avoid enemies. The enemies on these first few screens aren't that hard to dodge, thankfully. On this screen, though, that's another story. So I need to throw the babies in here so that they can activate the torch blocks here. And there's 6 in total, so I need to hit the blocks with the babies and then switch over to the adults and do the same. No, she didn't die, she just got turned into a purple mushroom. It's a Mario game, of course it doesn't get that dark. This encounter here is one of the toughest to dodge in the game, and I did it. Nice. There's only a couple of frames which Baby Luigi's jump will hop over, so to get that in a marathon is pretty good. My success rate is something like 70%. Which, as we all know, with marathon luck, your success rate gets cut in half. Alright, so that's all 6 of the torch blocks. So now I need to hit all 6 of these blocks, and what that will do is it'll create a fireball large enough to essentially shoot at a part of the forest. Daily reminder, do not start forest fires. I do not endorse this action. Especially when you're kind of time traveling and you know the butterfly effect and all that. Thankfully, I believe only those trees are flammable, so we're able to get by without burning down the whole forest. I want to be careful here, this guy can be a little tricky. Alright, so we're gonna get into the first glitch here. This is called Spike Skip. This involves a frame-perfect swap here, which is why I'm releasing the babies. I'm gonna focus here and try and get this. I can assure you there's a point to what I am doing. Wow, this is like the lowest success rate I've had in a while. There we go. So there's a frame in which the spikes here is read as normal collision. So I can walk on top of the spikes, and this will allow me to effectively skip doing the area as intended. Also, Luigi's here. Hi, Luigi. So, with a frame-perfect swap over to the babies, you can start to do this area in reverse. And this saves a couple of minutes. So even though I messed up a bunch, it still saves time. Alright, so we need to hit these statues here in order to create the entrance to the factory. Which is why I'm basically doing this in the first place. To be careful of this enemy here, I hang to the left side of the bridge so that I can dodge him a little easier. A lot of the routing on the overworld just comes down to knowing how to dodge enemies. Alright, so we're out of Toadwood Forest and into Vim Factory. Get your sour please ready, because this music is a real banger. I love the Frank Your Face follow feature, because you get like 1,000 people in chat with access to the weird emotes that don't make sense out of context. Alright, so yet again we're splitting up the adults and the babies here. So this is the first boss fight. First real boss fight anyways. The Hammer Bros. And we have to fight them with just the babies. Thankfully, along the way I've picked up fire flowers, which takes normally 5 flowers to kill these guys. If I get enough lucky, or if I get lucky, it can be as few as 4. No, this game actually does not have super nuts. Oh hey, a lucky, nice. This game has what are called mushroom drops. There is actually an important reason behind this, but that's not till later. Yes, the Hammer Bros do speak in lead speak. This is 2005, so it made more sense back then. Japanese, they speak in katakana to show that they're... Wow, that was 4 damage. They speak with katakana, which is a character set used for foreign words. Darn, I was like just a couple of frames off from the 4. That's unfortunate. There we go. At least I got one of them. Ba-ba-da-dum-ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. No, you can't just mash buttons. There is a rhythm to it. I believe it'll only let you throw a fireball once every 8 frames. So if you try and mash as hard as humanly possible, you'll actually end up missing your inputs a little bit. So this game runs at 60 frames per second, so that's once every, I want to say a little over 1/7 of a second. You mash 7.5 times a second on average. Of course, you know, you can't do a half X press in this game. This is time traveling, not parallel universes. Oops, I was just a bit off. Alright, so we've gained the overworld abilities of the hammer and the spin, which allows me to burrow underground. Pretty self-explanatory. It only works on the babies, though. Also, the machines in the factory don't look like faces. I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, so we're gonna get to our first glitch here, which we refer to this glitch as literally paper jam. Yeah, we just clipped out of bounds because inward pointing corners in this game were not very well programmed. The funny thing is there's actually one of those that got patched out in the Japanese and European versions that's there in the North American version. And they left the other one. There are like 3 in this room that you can clip through the walls in, and they didn't patch all of them. So we just found another one. So that skipped a tutorial fight. We'll get another tutorial fight here, but it overall saves about 40 seconds. Alright, so now that we've learned how to fight with hammers, we're just gonna fire flower these guys. And done. No, they're piggybacking the babies. So from here on out, the adults can only get 2 per level up. And it's guaranteed. I have a way to nearly guarantee getting a 2 every level up. Oh, that was such an awkward dodge. Oh, during the hammer move, yeah, you do wield the babies in order to hit the enemy harder. This game is weird. Alright, so this is going to be the next glitch that we do, and we're going to actually be using a variant on this glitch quite a lot in this run. I'm going to move them out of the way. And what this is called it's called ledge clipping. If you move yourself 1 pixel under a ledge... Darn, I'm like messing this up. You can clip onto the ledge up here, and I have to break that block. And this saves me from having to do this entire screen and doing a bunch of little stuff. There's a lot of applications for the ledge clip, but it does require you to be 1 pixel underneath the ledge. So it can be a little tricky. So here I'm going to put the adults on the platform while I bypass this enemy, and that allows me to kind of do 2 things at once. So be a little careful with this enemy dodge here. He can be a bit of a nuisance to try and dodge. Alright, so that's it for Vim Factory. We're going to get to the heart of the factory where we find out that the Vim, which is basically the energy from the toads that has been siphoned over here, is actually being used by and converted by this weird alien wiggler looking thing and turned into saucer fuel. So yeah, there's your really morbid part of this game. Don't worry, it goes uphill from here. I often say the first hour of this game is the darkest in all of Mario. So, you're gonna hear me mentioning numbers, probably. And this is because this boss has exactly 200 HP, and you really want to make sure you keep track of how much HP he has at any given point. Okay, I got the double hammer there. So that cloud normally takes 2 hits to break. Okay. But sometimes you can hit it twice at once. It's kind of luck-based, though. I think there's like a frame in which it works, but it feels like almost luck. Okay, so that's 8. I want to make sure that only gray mushrooms go into his cup. If ever a red mushroom goes into his cup, when he drinks at the end of his turn, he'll heal 40 damage, and I do not want that because my damage output at this point is really low. So here's the first use of cannonballers. It's pretty self-explanatory how it works. Basically hit the button that shows up. So the shroom here uses a mushroom and gets swole very quickly. Unfortunately, I don't have gray mushrooms out, so I just have to cannonballers twice. Wow, I can't believe I completely got my buttons backwards there. I have never messed up on cannonballers that badly. This boss has 200 HP. I've currently done 64. It's a really good idea to keep count because there may be a turn where I want to just do damage rather than worrying about the gray mushrooms. Okay, so we're going to do Fireball twice here. Hey, nice lucky. One version difference on this particular fight is Swiggler does not do counterattacks on the North American version. Alright. So in case you can't tell, this is one of the slower and more luck-based fights in the game. Oh no, that's bad. Darn. That's gonna eat up a turn. I was trying to see if I could do anything there. No, that's why I keep the... That's part of why I keep the one-up mushroom there. And that's the only attack in this fight that can kill me in one go, so... As long as I don't get hit by that again, should be good. Ready for you this time. Ideally, I wouldn't have to do another Bros Flower, but I did miss one of my cannonballers, so I will have to do it instead. Alrighty. So now I have enough to kill him next turn. He will die for sure next turn. Taking menuing just a little slowly there to make sure I target the right enemy with the right thing. Alright, so taking that extra turn did eat up some time, but we should be about even with PB here. My PB had a really bad time here. Alright, so that's one of the worst fights in the game out of the way. Thank goodness. Oh, wow. Never lucky. Never lucky, dude. Oh, that's so bad. +1, indeed. So now we have the second shard. Yeah, the thing is, once you start messing up on it, what happens is your next few level ups, the game starts to give you better rolls, but those actually start to get harder to get. Like, it's really, really easy to get 2 every level, but then getting 3 or 4 starts to get a little bit trickier. So Bowser decided to come in and ruin the party and steal both of our shards. I don't know how he moved that fast, but I'm pretty sure he lost that ability later on. Part of the reason Xenogears 90% is so long is because its text moves so slowly. You make its text go faster, and the game is shorter by several hours. I always found that quite amusing. So, most of the glitches that are in this run have been found in the last few months. But the one that I'm about to do has actually been known about for a very long time. It's the oldest glitch in this game by far. So he's informing us that time holes are popping up all over the place. So we can actually get to a couple of areas, but like, it's not really worth it to do so. So I'm sending the babies here so that they're closer to the next story trigger. And then I'm going to strip the adults of all of their equipment. Oops. And this is so I have as much as I possibly can to sell. I want to buy the badge first. So I'm going to sell everything I own. Except for the green shells, because those are important. And then I need to buy as many of the cheapest thing that I can get, which in this case is the green shells. And I'm going to save here because this next trick is frame perfect, and if I fail it, I would otherwise reset, which would cost me the run, so we don't want to do that. There we go. Got it first try. So, that takes... There's 1/60th of a second in which you can trick the game into thinking that you're selling the green shells for the price of the shroom badge, which is... We do this twice, so it basically grants us nearly infinite money. I messed it up that time, but it's not as big a deal this time because I actually have a buffer. There we go. So first and second try, really, really good. So I'm going to buy a good number of bro flowers, ice flowers, and then a couple of cannonballers. I just kind of indiscriminately hold down the button for a very, very brief period of time. And that's just because I have so much money to work with. It's like, I'm just buy however many. Yes, I am the commentator as well. I, the runner, am the commentator. Somebody's mentioning Bat and Kaidos 100%. Yeah, most of that run is kind of just sleeping. I don't know. I kind of don't like that game is a bit of a meme in the speedrun community, because it's honestly a really fun casual game. Even if it's speedrun, like, even any percent is a little long. Nice thing about our TMP servers is there's not a whole lot of delay between me and the stream, even with the middleman. So this is the Spin Bros technique. They brought this back from Superstar Saga. It's also kind of broken. Not the most broken ability in the game, but every ability in this game is broken in some way. I swear stair jumps on the stairs are the hardest in the game. Alright, so the next area we're going to go to is Yoshi's Island. And we're going to make use of how spin jump is broken almost immediately. Wow, I actually got a gold split right there. Okay, as much as we all like long runs here, I do encourage people not to go extended periods without sleep. It's a little unhealthy. Alright, so we're gonna make another use of ledge clipping here with the adults. It's a little tricky. There's like a pixel that you want to get under. Alright, let's do this a little slowly then. Darn. Oh, wow, I just had it. Ah, darn, I'm like just off. Okay. So by ledge clipping up there, I'm able to skip all of the 3 minutes worth of cutscenes that happen at the start of Yoshi's Island. And I can do the same thing here, and I messed it up. So all that skips is a bunch of cutscenes. Give you a lot of context for what's going on in this area, but you don't really skip like any battles or any neat tech. So it turns out Kamek is also on this island, which means that Baby Bowser is as well. I'll use this cutscene as an opportunity to make sure my DS charger is plugged in, because that would be no bueno if my DS were to die. So, I'm not even gonna give you guys a moment's break. We're gonna continue breaking this game here very fast. So once we've put out that fire, we're just gonna leave the rest of the fires here because there's a glitch that I can do on this next screen. So what you can do here is clip the babies inside the spring, which means the next time I jump with the babies, they will be teleported to the top screen. And if I transition to another screen while the babies are teleporting to the top screen, that was not. This isn't good. I did not get myself in the right position. Okay. I'm gonna have to redo that. Dang, I haven't messed this up in a while. Got a little hasty there. It's all good. So, I need to actually move where I can see what I'm doing. So now that I've done this, the babies are set to a coordinate out of bounds. And I need to be able to see where they are, because as soon as they disappear the screen when I hold right is the cue to hold up. And in doing that, I'm able to access the loading zone at the top end of this screen without having to do any of the puzzles here, which saves several minutes. I'm going to play out most of the rest of this area as intended. Bit of a note, I will be clinging to the wall here because when you do this, the Coconutters, I believe is their name. Oops, I'm pressing the wrong button here. The Coconutters, I think is their name, will try and throw spears, but the spear will disappear. The hitboxes on the spears are deceptively large, and it is very easy to accidentally get yourself into an encounter in this area. So there's the nuts for this game, which were sadly removed from the first game. Careful of this guy, because he can catch me off guard and get me into an encounter. A lot of the run is just knowing how to dodge every encounter that comes your way. So far I've gotten only one excess encounter, so that's not bad. So I'm going to bury underground because these guys can be really annoying to dodge. Oops. So we're going to use the trick that I did earlier, which is called top screen storage, yet again here. We needed to open that door first. They have a spring set aside just for this. This is the only place we can really get reliable top screen storage left in the run. So what this does is allows us to get out of bounds here, which you'll notice you see Kamek there. It's actually a trigger for a boss. So there's a point where we can just outright skip this boss. So if you know where to move, you can end up actually getting past the boss trigger and into the trigger for the cutscene afterwards, which thankfully there's a cutscene back here, meaning we've just completely skipped that boss trigger for the rest of the run. It's kind of unfortunate because the Kamek boss fight is a little bit neat, but it does end up saving several minutes. So, I've neglected to mention the giant pink dinosaur in the room. This is Yub. He's a Yoshi shrew. And he's kind of been eating everything on the island, including the inhabitants. We skipped the cutscene where you actually learn about, about why he's here. Basically, there's a Yoshi egg the shrooms brought with them. It's been kind of wreaking havoc on the island. But again, we skipped that, so this is our first time encountering him. And the shrooms grew him to gargantuan size, and so he eats us. So for those of you who enjoyed Bowser's Inside Story, well, here's your prequel to that, and also Baby Rage. Need a glass of water. actually like the graphics in the Superstar Saga remake. More so the background models
Mario.
than the character sprites, though. Aw, that baby rage. I love it.
Babies.
So, we don't know where Luigi got these Yoshi cookies. Again, he got them in one of the cutscenes. I like to think because we don't have that cutscene, Luigi never picked up the cookies, so he gets them from the blood of his enemies. Of course, that would be a little dark for a Mario game, so just use your imagination. Actually, please don't, because I'm worried that you might use your imagination to come up with something worse. So once we come up here, we meet this Yoshi who tells us that he's trying to save his friends, but the way to actually clear a path out of here is basically down the I want to say intestinal tract, and the only way to actually clear the way through there is brute force, and so that's why he's there. Oops, a little early. Trying to move the boulder. So we need to get enough Yoshis to move the boulder. Get a little swag strat there of Mario picking up the fruit as we're escaping. So we need to hit this UFO twice. Oh wow, I missed. I was like off by like mere frames. There we go. Barney has an internal blockage. What are you on about, Ghoul? So, I can get into a fight here. But I want to make sure I have the babies with me. If I don't, they won't get experience. Alright, so this guy actually is the first enemy who actually shows an elemental weakness. Certain enemies are weak to ice or bro flowers. More of them are weak to bro flowers, which is why I have them in the first place, because ice flowers are otherwise completely better in every way. But this is one of only two like regular encounters that we do for the entire run. So we have to make them count. Well, more like 3 or 4. Could probably do spring storage here, but it's not worth it to. You also can't use spike glitch on this one. So some of the tricks in this game seem to only work at certain places. There are certain screens where using the spring storage will actually soft lock the game. Thankfully, it's a trick you have to deliberately set up so you can't accidentally soft lock yourself. So now that we're on the way, we're gonna feed this Yoshi that we left hungry. So, these are dry bones. I hate them with every fiber of my being. Oh wow. I was underneath one of the ledges there. So that's encounter number 2. So I hate the dry bones with every fiber of my being. The reason being, it's very, very easy to accidentally get into an encounter with them. Position like this, and so there we can use ledge clipping to get out of bounds. And I lost it because this game is well programmed. keep losing it. I got it. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. This trick is free. It's not supposed to screw up this badly. There we go. So that didn't save very much time. But it saves a puzzle in that room, which is why we want to do it. Otherwise, I would have to hit a bunch of switches with the babies. Yeah, this is a marathon. Nothing is free.
Let's go.
This is the last puzzle on the top floor of this area. Hopefully I can actually get him with ice flowers this time. We need 6. There's already 1, so we only need to save 5. Wow, that actually stank horribly. This gets it to level 6. You have a point, Stroganoff. It is, I've messed up a couple of times on the bonus stats, especially on Baby Mario, who seems to have, like, never been able to catch a break. All the things. So fun fact, you can get out of bounds on this screen. It's just like sub-pixel reliant and really not reliable. Alright, so need to be careful here. This guy is by far the easiest enemy to accidentally get into an encounter with in the entire game. So much so that, like, I'd say way more runs than not I end up accidentally getting into an encounter there. So the fact that I was able to dodge it is a relief, considering I've already gotten into my my encounter quota for this dungeon. Shoutouts to the Yoshi washing machine. So this is turning the Yoshis into eggs, as you can see here. What these eggs are for never quite gets explained, but it's implied that it turns them into monsters, possibly other Yubes. They don't quite specify, but whatever happens, we don't want it, so. We only need to free 2 Yoshis this time. And both the eggs are over here. BGG, that's horrible. I don't want to eat the Yoshis. They don't look tasty at all. What are you talking about? So the window to actually hit those is pretty lenient. Once you've done enough runs, it's very easy to just get it 2 up, 2 down every time. Easy every time. Yes, there is an interesting name for getting into encounters here. I have an emote specifically for it. So, want to watch out for these guys, take a slightly roundabout way to make sure I don't end up in the range of that shroob there. So this is basically the end of the dungeon, and this gentleman here is Toadbert. He was also with the princess when the time machine incident happened at the beginning of the game. He doesn't remember anything, though. It gives us this very bizarre drawing, which we never figure out exactly what it means, because nobody in this game is willing to tell us important information. It's kind of a running trend with this game. He also warns us that in the back of Yeeb's belly here is a frightening monster that's keeping us basically locked in here. So this is Sunnyside. He is probably the second worst boss in the game. Actually, no, he's not. Yeah, he's my second least favorite boss. Yeah, as Queluoma here puts, there's really no use of touchscreen in this game. This game was actually a very early release on the DS, so the software that the hardware they tested this on didn't have a touchscreen initially. It's kind of thrown in there. So this is Sunnyside. He's very easy, just time-consuming, and very luck-based. I want to break the eggs that he has in front of me, because doing that causes Yoshis to break out of them. Hammers. Nice. Hey, Snowion. Go follow Snowion, everybody. He's better at this game than I am. Has the current world record at 325. Really? 2 hammers in a row? That's not very common. So once 5 Yoshis are on the top screen, they'll push a boulder that'll knock Sunnyside over, and that's my chance to actually start doing some damage. I have never seen him give me this many hammers, and I don't know why. I would have broken all the eggs by now. Wow, this has never happened before in my life. I'm hoping at least 2 of them break right now, because this could actually work out really well in my favor. Aw, only 1 of them. That's unfortunate. Actually, I should have done that. I'm just gonna wait for this to run out. Darn. I don't need 7 Yoshis. That's unfortunate. I made a bad play there. I should have only broken 1 of the eggs. I wasn't sure how much they were at. Kinda got a little ahead of myself. Alright, so he's knocked on the ground here. The funny thing is, it happened in a good way. In fact, so much so that I messed up anyways. Yeah, now that he's on the ground, we can see that his weakness is, when it's exposed, his weakness is fire. I actually pressed the wrong button there. Hopefully he only throws 2 or 3 eggs. It's random how many he throws. I just don't want him to throw 4. Nope, he threw 4. Well, this fight's just unpredictable and it makes it awful. Yeah, every one of those bosses' attacks are easy to dodge. Bear in mind, we are level 7 right now. If we were higher level, this boss fight would be much faster. It's also one of the few bosses that the HP values don't change between versions. But it's okay, because we'll get to some really fun bosses pretty soon after. Most of the fun in doing this fight is just seeing what kind of garbage luck he will give you. Damage calculation, it's like 1 per fireball or ice ball, and then there's like a damage formula. I'm not really sure specifics on it though. I hope he throws 4 here, because that would be like, oh wow, dude. He's gotta be really close to dead. Never lucky. Why is Mario piggybacking on Mario Jr.? Good question. What BGG said, time travel. Wow, dude. This is like one of the worst fights I've ever had of this boss. Marathon luck strikes again. Started off so good, too. Very sad. He was that close to dead. Darn. That's obnoxious. Finally, we're done with this darn boss. I never have to do this again. Let's just pretend this was a bad dream. Alright, so now we have our way out, and just pretend that this is, I like to think of Yube as a giant robot, because you can come back to here. Otherwise, it would just make this cutscene extremely awkward. I think of Yube as a giant robot because he kind of just shuts down after this, but you can still go into his body. And so with that, we have saved the island. Also, I like this cutscene because we basically walk through a closed door, because we never actually opened the door. So Bowser here's trying to take all the credit, but he notices us and decides to eat all of his cookies because he doesn't want us getting any of his cookies, and this causes him to cough out the Cobalt Star Shards. So the Cobalt Star Shards have kind of expressed some very minor sentience, and they don't like being eaten. Bye, Bowser. So, they gave him a reward. The Yoshis gave him a reward because they thought that Bowser was the one who saved the day. Turns out it was Mario and Luigi, obviously. So they all give us Yoshi champs. So that's the Yoshi's Island scenario. Oops. So again, before we can move on, we do need to talk to EGAD. And so in this cutscene, he tries to figure out the portrait Toadbert drew, but he can't because there's ink everywhere and the portrait sucks. Sorry, Toadbert, but your art doesn't really help anything. And he informs us that the path to the final dungeon is open. Now, ordinarily, it's set that you're not supposed to be able to get through there, but the only reason we can't go through there right now is because we just don't have enough stuff. The game ordinarily makes you get all the Cobalt Star Shards, but it's actually really easy to get past the door through uses of glitches, which we will be doing that later. Right now I do need to collect a bunch of peppers, which are useful against boss fights. and bros items, which are gonna kind of change the nature of boss fights for the rest of the run. So once again, the Toadsworths are sort of the section that teaches us about a new ability. I should get a Mario thinking face emote. So now we're going to learn how to roll into a ball. I do kind of miss high jump, but rolling into a ball is pretty funny. This allows us to get under small crevices. The other kind of important thing it does is it allows us to move faster on the overworld. So there are a few places where it's faster to just ditch the babies and just keep rolling. Stair jumps are not on point right now. It's also important you try not to turn too much when you're in ball form because it cancels out your speed. You actually can make it up the sequence in time without the ball form, but it's so ridiculous that it's just not RTA viable, and really doesn't serve much purpose because you would basically be skipping an essential ability. So our next scenario is Rootsy Desert, which you've probably heard this area's music in Smash Bros. Brawl. Let's take a second to enjoy it, because I really like this area's music. I'm also not going to hear it for very long.
Mamma mia!
So it turns out this dome is infested with shrooms. Also, this character. You have not seen her yet because we skipped the cutscene. Yeah, a lot happens at Yoshi's Island that we don't talk about. Anyway, this is Kylie Koopa. She's sort of an investigative journalist, and an ally of ours at this point because we did kind of save her life.
Mamma mia!
Sorry, I just wanted you guys to enjoy that cutscene uninterrupted. Alright, so we can't actually get into the dome anymore because it's guarded by hundreds of shrooms. Also, I shouldn't have got those green shells. Why did I do that? Oh well, it's par for the course of this run right now. So, leave the babies here because I will be doing the eastern section as the adults, which you're kind of required to. Careful to dodge some of the encounters here. Not want that encounter. I do have to wonder if the in the vocal recording studio the script just says gibberish, similar to how every time Homer Simpson says "doe," it just says "grunt" on the script. Just like make something up. You know what to do here. So, kind of taking a bit of a roundabout path here to make sure I don't get into any encounters. So, we left the babies over here so that they would be able to hit the switch within 10 seconds. We need to do this twice. Gibberish in Italian. That would be... I would love to see the script of this game. I do need to watch out because there are a couple enemies on the way down here. Alright, so now we can get into the dome. Well, more specifically, we have a switch that allows us to get in through the, not the back entrance, the, like, ceiling entrance. I don't know. The secret entrance that every locked video game dungeon has. So, I'm clinging to the end here so that I don't end up accidentally getting into that fight with that pokey, otherwise it could just be a nice big ol' waste of time. That's a pretty good one, Healing Mind. Alright, so now we're in the dome. So, we're going to take a look at what exactly all the shrooms are doing here. And here you see that there is a dome just filled with hundreds upon hundreds of shrooms. I don't know how they fit the entire shroom mothership into this place, but let's just roll with it. And there is Princess Shrew. See, the thing I like about this cutscene is I have no idea what's going on, but it's utterly mesmerizing. So, all of the shrooms clearly love their monarch, and apparently she's really good at making a show for her audience. But sadly, you can't understand anything she's saying. Kind of brings a lot of character to the shrooms, who throughout the game are kind of these silly villains that are just silly enough that they fit right in, but just serious enough that you take them seriously. Also, here's Petey's obligatory appearance. I don't know what they're saying here, but I like how that sounds like crowd chanting. So we know Petey's in this game because he kind of makes an obligatory appearance in every game around the Sunshine era. So we don't need the babies anymore. Bye bye. I ask that we please not get too into politics here. There's a fine line with that kind of stuff. Alright, so we got the babies back on our shoulders here. And we have another dark room, which this one is a little tricky. I do know the first couple of steps here, but I want to be just careful. What did Dream Team do? Absolutely nothing wrong. Hi, Ozzy. This dark room's a little tricky. Ideally, I get it in 3. Wow, that's like dangerously close. It's on the bar by only a couple of pixels. World record is 325. I don't know the seconds. So, decided to take this platform, and it happens to take us right into the heart of the action here. Paper Jam also did nothing wrong. So once again, Luigi being the butt of every joke. So they're gonna fly in our next boss fight. We're gonna make a bit of a scene for the crowd here. So this is Shrewd Brat. I'm gonna try and explain him a little bit here. A lot of his attacks are based on the crowd that you see at the top of the screen. And you also saw at the shop I picked up a couple of items called trampoliners and pocket chomps. Both of these items have the potential to do infinite damage as long as you're really good at pressing buttons. So I'm going to need to focus on this fight in order to do it in as few turns as possible. So first things first, I want to use my red pepper. Oops. Ice flowers here. I'm using ice flowers here solely because has a decent chance of lowering his defense. Unfortunately, it didn't on his offense. Okay, so once you see the green ring around him, you know that his defense is down, and getting a lucky there is good. So I'm not really going to have much opportunity to talk here. I'll let the gameplay speak for itself, but this attack can go on for quite a while. I can assure you this is the only fight in the game, except for, depending on what's happening, the final fight, in which we do this. So this is fairly intense and attention demanding. I actually have to turn away from my monitor so I don't have any distractions in my line of sight. Darn, I'm gonna drop here. That's unfortunate. That did, like, nothing. So, the world record holder, Snowion, has actually one-cycled this fight before, which is incredibly difficult to do. That sucks. Wow, I'm dropping this at really low amounts. This is not good. And I think Luigi lost his Fire Flower, and so did Mario. Well, this is gonna take a while. This is my least favorite boss fight in the game because this just drags on if you don't do it right. Do it right. And I also hate pocket chops. God, I hate pocket chomps. I swear I practice this. Yeah, so now that he's under half health, his turns start taking longer and longer. Oh no, I do have red peppers. It's his defense down that he's lost. Dang. At least I'm getting good luck. I'm getting good luck on certain things here. Oh no. It's the last thing I wanted to happen right now. Oh, this is why you buy one-up mushrooms for this part. Okay. Oh, pocket chomps. The double lucky. Nice. Alright, so this is really the last of the slower boss fights. And I'm just making this slower by continually messing up, so that's my bad. This is probably the costliest boss fight in the game, other than, like... What the heck? Wow, it just dropped there. This is probably the costliest boss fight in the game for mistakes. And I am costing myself a lot of time. Yes, this boss theme is composed by the same composer. Somebody already beat me in chat. I do need to make sure I don't end up accidentally hammering mushrooms back at him. So my record for this fight is 3 chain chomps. And I think I've used like 6 so far, so... yeah, this has not been a good fight. Oh well. You get the marathon jitters, it's all good. There we go. Finally! I cannot do the victory screech, but victory screech! Woo-loo-loo-loo-loo-loo. Sure. Well, there I gave my attempt. I do have to not be super loud in my living situation.
Mamma mia!
You're right, Fireball. Or sorry, Fireball. God, I sound like I'm trying to pretend like I have a New York accent. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne does have really good music. Definitely one of my favorite RPGs. All right, so get your baby rages ready because we're gonna have 3 crying babies in this cutscene here. Yes. It's not a coincidence that most of the PBs for this game were set recently. This is because the route saw some significant changes within the last year. Alright, so this is where the route makes a drastic change in terms of damage output. And so we don't have to deal with anything like that last boss fight again. So we're going to get clothing that upgrades our offense, and more importantly, we're going to pick up the Dire Pow badge. The way Dire Pow badge works is if you're under a quarter of your max HP, you will do 2.5 times as much damage. So we're going to deliberately get ourselves to low HP for the next few bosses. And this will allow us to defeat the next several bosses much quicker than it takes to beat Shrewboy Brat. You know, the funny thing is, actually, people make mention that he said that not very many people speedrun this game, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of people commented, yeah, people have speedrun this game, and in a later view, he made mention of, made mention of the fact that he hadn't checked the leaderboards in a while, and since he had checked the leaderboards, the game like tripled in size. Oh yeah, also Kylie Koopa did just get eaten, because Petey eats everything.
Oh yeah.
Yoicks. Yoicks. Oops. Did not realize they had hammers equipped. So I'm trying to do a couple of cheeky encounter dodges here. I do want to get into at least one encounter, and that's to set up Dire Pow. Oops. One more. Alright, so these slots are random. It's one of the few bits of RNG I actually really don't like in this game. I need to get 3 magic pairs. So second try, first time, second try, second time. Hopefully this first one I get first. My best is first try, and second try. So second try, and first try. So I'm actually going to break up the ball form just before I enter this next loading zone, and this is because while the top screen loads the map, you don't have direct control on the adults as they're rolling, and this can be a real problem. It can often lead you just rolling off to little fault of your own. So careful of the bombs here. They're really easy to accidentally get into an encounter there. Every attack in this game is theoretically avoidable, except for one, and that one is conditional based on whether or not your speed stat is higher than your opponent's. But that's actually a random encounter that has it. The final boss has one attack that's so hard to dodge, we literally grab an extra piece of equipment just to make it more bearable. That was the wrong place to spin. Get a jingle that plays nowhere else in this game. That was the wrong screen. I am forgetting my motions. I hate that too, Skullback 6. Just want to do my homework. Alright. This encounter's nice because it's three enemies, guaranteeing that I'll both survive as well as take the necessary damage. Alright, so that manipulates my health to being exactly 1, because you can't control the adults and have them, like, if you die in battle and run away, it resets back to 1 HP. Which is really nice, actually. Do a cheeky little jump over this shy guy here. This room I need to hit 3 switches. And the meter on the bottom basically makes these platforms move faster. Okay, didn't make a mistake there. Alright, so now we can go do the boss fight. With how poorly this run has gone in several places, I'm gonna make a save just in case. Because I really don't want to accidentally lose my, my dire status. So Mick123, this route, we do pick up the risk badge. Technically, there is a faster route without grabbing the risk badge, but, well, theoretically, we believe it's faster, but nobody's completed a run with it yet. Best Mario and Luigi is the one right in front of you. Yes, we get the wrist badge in this run.
Let's go.
Okay. So I need to watch for his attacks here, because his first attack is actually surprisingly difficult to dodge. He's facing right, the block hits Mario first. So first I want to Ice Flowers, which I can... Fun fact, you can actually use Ice Flowers with the babies, if you, and they can throw it to hit aerial enemies. I'm only after the defense reduction, which thankfully I was able to get first try. I'm not sure. I assume he is, but I don't think it matters for him. That came at me faster than I was expecting. Okay. The trampoliners kind of stinks. But as you can see, my damage output is utterly skyrocketed compared to Shrewd White Rat, where I was only doing at most 6 per hit. Problem with trampoliners is it's very hard to keep up with. It's not really better than Pocket Chomps, but since he's airborne, I don't get the bonus damage from the babies. Okay, that's not enough to kill, but he should die on the next turn. Just give me the sand attack, please. This is the easiest one. Darn, this attack takes ages. You know, the sad thing is I think that's actually faster. So, he's weak to fire. I believe it does have the highest damage. The final boss, again, has 9,500 HP across 3 phases. So now we have the third Cobalt Star Shard. I will be the last one we'll be collecting for the rest of this run. Thank you, sequence breaks.
Oh yeah. Mamma mia.
Final badge setup is all wrist badges, pretty much. Alright. So we have found the princess, but something is wrong. Ba-da-da. Yeah, she's kind of been infected by a shroob mushroom. She doesn't seem to be incapable of cognitive function, but it is a little off-putting, to say the least. It's a little faster to go through the library here. Except not at this point in time. God, I'm making the dumbest of little mistakes here. What am I doing? I'm like completely mixing up when I'm supposed to do certain things. Jeez. Yeah, rip the frames. I don't like frames. I don't like going fast. Who likes going fast? You gotta... Life's too short to go fast. You gotta take your time. Alright, so this is the introduction of the last two overworld abilities, Baby Spin and Baby Cakes. Just combine the existing abilities we already have. I don't know what Luigi said about your mother. I couldn't tell what he was saying under all the gibberish. So, younger Toadsworth seems to get the crazy idea of doing terrible thing to the princess and just utterly flattening her like a pancake. Princess! So for once, Luigi thinks the new technique isn't a good idea, but... it's actually hilariously broken. Alright, so now we have our next abilities, and we can proceed onwards. There is a point in the game where it is faster to go through the library. It's later on in this scenario. I also seem to be mixing up when I'm supposed to do things, because I completely forgot about Baby Peach. But I do need those copy flowers. I'm gonna blame the weather. It's kinda hot. It's kinda hot in here, so it's a little difficult to keep focused. Also, you can just do this. The game wants you to go into that room and hit the switch, but you don't have to. So, you may be thinking to yourself, where has Bowser been this whole game? Like, adult Bowser. Hasn't it been a while since he's kidnapped the princess? He kinda hasn't been in this game. And admittedly, he doesn't have a very large presence in this game, but turns out he is in this game. So, at the worst possible time, he decides to capture the princess, but while gloating, he gets his face splattered with... I don't even know. This cutscene is weird. Yes, I did buy copy flowers. In fact, I wasted time to go buy copy flowers, because I messed up the sequence of events. I don't know, quite a lot of people are at least aware of Okami and have played it. I wouldn't quite call it obscure if it's an NPC. Nonetheless, it's a pretty neat game.
Oh yeah.
So this is the part where it's faster to go through the library. Saves about a second, just because there's so many extra loading screens on the bottom floor. Alright. So, get your sour pleases ready, because this song is never getting out of your head. This is Flop Volcano. Whoopsies. Press the button a little early. So the enemies here are really easy to accidentally get into an encounter with. with, so I have to be extra careful. Especially because if I do get into an encounter, I run the risk of, like, if I mess up, that can be really bad. Ordinarily, if I get into an encounter and the adults die, it's not a big deal. Especially because I have dire power, I don't need to get into an encounter anyways, but, yeah, dying would be really bad, because I don't have... ordinarily, if the adults die, the babies take their place in battle. So you at least have a safety net, but you don't have that safety net when they're split up. So, you actually, in the North American version, through like a really crazy trick, can skip this second half of this area and save a couple of minutes, but it's got patched out in this version. I've been trying to find a way to do it to no avail, just because you can do ledge clipping, but you can't get out of bounds, which you can in a surprising number of areas, but not in this dungeon now. Nice thing is these cutscenes overlap and the babies reach normal size while we don't have control of them anyways. Careful here. Not want to get into any encounters here. Some of these encounters are a little tricky. There's one that we specifically want for help. Oh wow, what? That's really, really bad. Came in clutch. That's 3 extra encounters. Thankfully, that encounter, the attacks are really easy to dodge, so wasn't at too much risk of dying there. A lot of the movement on this section can be a little basic. I also messed this up a little bit. But it's fine. You can't make this first cycle anyways. It's, like, literally impossible. It's, like, never possible to make this first cloud cycle, so I didn't waste any time. In all seriousness, I hope you guys are enjoying the run. As bad of the run as this has been for me by my standards, I've been enjoying this. Enjoying streams. 2 is overrated. Reaching next levels there, Isaac. so the volcano decides to blow up in our face, and being the responsible adults we are, we're gonna just throw our baby selves off to the side. They'll be fine. This isn't a bad idea at all. As we run for our lives. I wouldn't quite say it's overlooked. It's kind of been in the shadow of its successor. It was sandwiched between two really good and well-liked Mario and Luigi games. And it's a little bit of an oddball, but I do think this game does have a sizable portion of the fan base who really enjoys it, myself included. So we're meeting young Elvin Gad here. I mean, never mind that there's a volcano exploding in the background. He doesn't believe us. Until, until everything goes to hell. Really fast. So, we're gonna have to put out that block before it explodes. Yeah, kinda does bad things. So, you actually need to get 9 charges of water here. I need for it to be on the screen. You can hit it while it's off screen, but it doesn't do anything. Sticker Star isn't a Mario and Luigi, it's a Paper Mario. But, I mean, I can reserve word on it. Its speedrun is actually pretty neat. Like, I do think legitimately the speedrun for, Sticker Star is pretty solid. I don't know how adult Mario forgot to drink water. I think he's just not at the height level necessary or something. I don't know, some mechanics they branched off to the babies. Also, get ready for the most convoluted time dilemma in the entire game. I'm trying to think of the word here. Time paradox. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Time Dilemma, and I suddenly think of Zero Time Dilemma. There's a completely different series altogether. Tarek's thinking exactly what I am. No, it's not, because this game is good. And not just okay. So, he got the idea for a giant water pump, and now he's literally pumping water into the time hole to create a giant geyser big enough to put out a volcano. You know, science is kind of scary if you can do that, I'm not gonna lie. Especially if he aimed it wrong. That would be disastrous, probably. Oops. A little careful here. Not getting the stair jumps I need. And Luigi clipped on a corner. That's nice. So I'm gonna get in a fight with this red coconutter here. Alright, so I'm guaranteed to survive this fight. Oops, I was pressing B there. Muscle memory. So I get that particular encounter because it's one of the few that can trip me up, so I pretty much always count on that one being there anyways. Because I don't want to get 2 encounters, I just want to get the one that's necessary. So these swamps were here because they really wanted to watch the eruption, and we kind of put it out, so they're really angry at us. The husband lost his spirit, and the wife decides that she's really angry at the first thing that she sees. To be fair, we did kind of put out the volcano. This fight can be a little scary. But here you'll get to witness the awesome might that is Copy Flowers. Exactly. Aw, darn, I messed that up. It's not even a hard copy flower. Whoopsies. That's unfortunate. Par for the course with this run. Okay, so she's 1 hit away from dying. It's fine, though. I'll get her on the next turn. I did not need to copy flowers there, by the way. She only has 24 HP. Okay, so you can tell which one's real because the real one has nice teeth. As well as, there's 2 that have nice teeth, but the real one also doesn't have a chip on its back. So, good copy flowers here, and I can kill her in 1 turn. Wow. I swear I'm better than this. Are you kidding me? I do not mess this up that often. There we go. Well, my streak was bound to end sometime. I see what you did there, Sigma Beta. It was a good pun.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, they kind of should have nerfed the bros attacks in Superstar Saga. Being able to go, like, do ridiculous damage with Chopper Bros is kind of excessive.
Luigi.
I decided to learn this run last October. I haven't been able to keep up on it as much. There was sort of a renaissance with this game where a couple of the guys who broke Thousand Year Door came over and decided that they wanted to break this game up as well. So, big shoutouts to Solidified Gaming for a lot of the glitches that we do in this run. He helped out finding them. Migu6, who you see in chat, as well as Really Tall, also have helped develop this game in the last year. When I started running this, there was all of one useful glitch. And as you can see now, this game is kind of busted. Shoutouts to Canada, as the world record holder's Canadian, and the guy who broke this game is Canadian. Actually, no. All of us who have run this game started running this well after the Chugga Let's Plays. But I do think it is amusing that he mentioned the speedrun of this game. I also find it amusing that he said the speedrun of this game is easy. It is not. Like, I'm I'm playing very poorly in a lot of places. And it's hurting quite a bit. Yeah, so the wife decides to knock everyone into the volcano because she gets angry as soon as they all want to go for a ride into the volcano, and she's like, I want to go, and he's like, no, you too heavy. And don't ever say that to your wife. No, the soft lock on the hammer tutorial doesn't happen in this run because we skipped the hammer tutorial altogether. The world record of this game is not free. It's absolutely not free. In fact, it never was free. Okay. I could have got bad luck there, but thankfully he was able to kill off both the adults very quickly. Alright, so now we're back in peril again. And we're just gonna completely skip this area, which is why we came out of the volcano to get our HP low. There are encounters you can get in this dungeon, but we're gonna skip any screen that has those. So this trick is a little complicated. I'll explain it once I've done it. I probably should not have put them there. Oh wow, I messed that up. I had it perfectly and I messed it up. Okay, so that trick depends on what are called subpixels, which are basically units of measurement of movement that are smaller than a pixel, as far as I'm aware. That wall is really buggy, so you can actually get aligned on the wall there. And if you align on the corner and hold down for exactly 21 frames, so that's 21/60ths of a second, you will be aligned properly, and then that way you can stack the adults, move one pixel to the left, and then roll out of bounds. And so that skips the entirety of Thwomp Volcano. Oops, did not mean to do that. So that one, originally we found it, because it was really, really, really easy on the North American version. It got patched in the European version, but just through sheer trial and error, we found you can still do it. And so Migu developed a pretty straightforward way of making sure that we can do it. It may be frame perfect, but it's actually really easy for a frame perfect strat. I hate this attack. I hate this boss in some ways, but it's also one of the most fun bosses in the entire game. So Bowser decides to team up with his younger self. He also gets his own unique boss theme, which is really cool. I'm gonna focus on making sure I don't drop copy flowers again. I'd like one boss fight to go right my way this run. So I'll just focus and let you listen to the music. Okay, so that was a pretty decent copy flower. As long as I do over 500 damage, it's a good copy flower. And then he healed him. Great. This attack stinks. Okay, there we go. Darn. Dropped it early. Well, this fight's really hard to one cycle, so... I don't think I need to copy flowers here to kill, but it's the bros attack I'm most comfortable with, so... I'd rather not just, like, do guesswork and risk him getting a turn, because that would be slower. There we go. So he has 650 HP, I believe. Bowser has 1,000. I think Mario ran out of, oh wait, no, I'm wrong about that. I thought he ran out of pepper for a second there. Okay, it's fine if I drop there. I only have to do about, 100 damage more. So, this will do it. And he has 1,000 HP, I should probably say. Well, there's Kirby Master. Hi, Kirby Master. No, my levels. The volcano decides to sort of erupt again, with enough force to not do anything to us but shoot Bowser and Bowser sky high. So here, adult Bowser decides to tell baby Bowser to grow up and become a strong Koopa. So he motivates his childhood self. Alright. This next cutscene has no text boxes, so I'm gonna actually get up and turn on my light in my room because it's getting kind of dark and it's throwing me off. So, be right back, because this cutscene has no text boxes. I'm back. So, I don't think that's a geologically sound idea to break a hole in a mountain that also happens to be a volcano. An active one, too. But nonetheless, we need to follow the princess. And this is the Shroom Mothership. There's some really nasty enemies on this ship that are tricky to dodge, and I have lost runs to them before. Thankfully, we don't have to do any of that. So there is supposed to be an intended puzzle on this dungeon. We're not gonna do any of that. So, not... This game had effectively two renaissances of glitch hunting. The second one, we found out that you could just skip this by using ledge clipping, as well as what's called ball clipping, which is where you use the ball form to clip out of bounds. What the heck? Okay, there we go. And so we just skipped the whole roundabout that we would have to go through in order to beat this dungeon. So because this skip is basically Mothership skip, the community did not waste the glorious opportunity to refer to it as Mother Skip, so we call this Mother Skip. So that was just a hologram. And it turns out that this shroom here was actually... Bum bum bum. You've been bamboozled. You've been Smeckledorfed. Of course, we kind of have another twist piling up. The twists keep coming. So Kylie decides to save the day. So she considers us even for having saved her from the bowels of a toxic vomit-spewing plant. Oh, that's not even the king of plot twists. That's not even a word in our group. Thank you. So, having discovered a giant key in her investigation of the shrooms, she thinks that it's a key to something on the mothership. Now, the mothership, ordinarily, you think that there would be a boss here, because they set it up to look like there's a boss here. They even give you a save point right here. But there's actually no boss here. And you'll see why in just a moment. Yes, Mixed Master Shots. It's a very nice hat. So, once again, it was all a ruse. I think it's just the engine. So, this was all a trap. Hey, nice. I have another gold split. I've had 2 gold splits this run, which is about the only good things that have happened. Getting first try on Money Glitch was good too. You don't actually get the ability to really translate what they say, but certain shrooms do have subtitles which say what they're saying in English, or whatever language you're playing as, because the characters are the same in all languages. Aw, raspberries. Yoinks! So not forgetting that Baby Bowser is here all along. I don't think they say yoinks, I think they say zoinks in Scooby-Doo. Wouldn't really theoretically be possible to translate them, but certain words you can make out. You find they say the word destroy or annihilate a lot. It translates to destroy whenever in the English version. In the Japanese version, it translates to kesu, which is approximately means to destroy. Because obviously they can't say something more violent than that, because it's effectively a kid's game, although I don't know very many kids who could beat this game. Because again, the European version of this game toned a lot of things down, whereas I got stuck with the American version and forced to put up with the really long final boss fight. Alright, so we're basically done playing the rest of the game. Yeah, Kesu means like erase, destroy, a bunch of different things. Yeah, this is Toad Town. It kinda got utterly destroyed. And the music is quite possibly the saddest in the entire game. So there's an item shop here which will get us the last main strat. And that is risk badges. So I do need 1 pair of star trousers for Luigi. I'm gonna rub my eye there. And I need to sell off all of my mushrooms. And I do need to buy a couple of 1-up supers, but I need to limit myself. And there's a big reason. Grab like 3 of those. And as many of these as I can carry. It really doesn't matter. I don't need money for anything anymore. And I need to save, because I can soft lock myself here if I'm not careful. I'll explain what the risk badge does in a moment, but first we have a glitch. So, I'll just go with it. Behind enough as is. Ah, what the heck? The heck? It's not working. There we go. So that's using the ledge clip to put the adults on the top screen, and since they're not to be meant to be on the top screen, weird things start to happen. So I bring the adults back up onto the bottom screen, and they are out of bounds. So I can bring the babies out of bounds with us. Now make sure I don't soft lock here. Okay, we're good. Careful to avoid these encounters. And this allows us to skip several sections of this area. So once I get them onto the correct screen, I'm going to go do the exact same thing, although this is a little bit less tricky. Wait. Whoops. Okay. So, the baby's back, bring the adults. And we have just skipped the entire area. So that saves a bunch of trouble, because what you have to do is split up the adults and the babies and do a bunch of separate puzzles. So that pipe takes us to Star Hill, which is ordinarily where we would be supposed to go, but we have everything we need to beat the game now. Wait, whoops, wrong screen. Now, we could go to the final dungeon at any time, and the main reason we stuck it out this long was for the risk badge, but also the bonus levels are really handy. Also, there's Fawful. After kind of getting destroyed at the end of Superstar Saga, he makes a cameo appearance as a badge shop in this game. Except you can only trade beans with him, and beans are obtained by digging in the ground. It's not worth it to do it in our route, but it is a very nice little thing that they added for fans of the first game. So Fawful is in fact in this game. So, now we can finally get to the final dungeon. Now, this next trick is what we refer to as gate skip. Solidified Gaming, who found it, has a far harsher name for it, adding a 7-letter word that starts with a particular letter to the word to the term gate skip. So, we can access the final dungeon at any time, as I've mentioned a couple times before. When wondering if there's a way to get through this, but it turns out this is actually extremely easy. I went a little far forward. That's fine. I have a backup strategy for that. So you can just skip the gate like that. You just need to be slightly ajar. Oh darn, this is unfortunate. So I'm doing an extra encounter to get myself to level 13, because at this point level ups are really, really important. That's kind of par for the course at this point. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good encounter there. A good encounter there has 2 of them, so I'm gonna have to fight one more. I'm laughing at the purge time there. Alright, so this is Baby Cake Skip. There's a dark room section here that we would ordinarily have to do, but we don't because we have this. So, I'll explain it in a moment because we're going to do it again. So what that does is you jump at the very end of the Baby Cake animation, and then they'll return to normal size, and right then you will do a spin, and so it carries the height from the jump and stacks that onto the height that you gain from the spin. So that saves me from having to do an entire dark room, and about 30 seconds, or about 45 seconds in full. Darn, this was the encounter I wanted. Alright. So, mixed flowers. So we get enough EXP. Okay, that's all I need. That's more than enough damage to kill. Gate skip is so, like, the fact that gate skip is so easy to do made Solidified Gaming, the guy who found it, so upset that he called his girlfriend who lives in another country in the middle of the night to say, "This skip is dumb." Oh, no. Okay. It's fine. We're faster than it anyways. That's 4 unintended encounters. Okay, so cling to the wall here. If you cling to this north end here, you can't get into this encounter. Okay. As you saw there, what's it called? Oh yeah, we were all really upset when the skip was found because we don't have a means to make it like as fast as we wish it could be. Alright, so this is Space Pants. Do not let me forget to equip the Space Pants. They're actually called the Space Trousers in the North American version, but I prefer their Japanese name, which is Space Pants. So yeah, if everyone could spam Space Pants in chat, I would appreciate that. Just for a bit. Just for a bit. Everyone just post Space Pants. Hey, I haven't equipped Space Pants. Thanks for reminding me, chat. Now, the big difference Space Pants provides is they give Mario a little bit of 10 bonus offense, but more importantly than that, they give him survivability. Alright, so I did another Baby Cake spin to basically get to the railings up there. There's actually a non-glitched way to get up there early, which does save time, but ultimately this is faster to do with this route. So now this pipe takes us to the spaceship section, but again, we've pretty much disregarded everything else in this game. So, link to the north wall here, because this enemy will not get us. So, again, using ball clip to get out of bounds. Need to be careful of the ghost guy there. And now we can just access the pipe to the end of the dungeon. And that is the final dungeon. Just utterly destroyed by all the glitches we've found in the last year. Also skips the really annoying sewer section. You can also tell that this is very definitively the final dungeon, or the final area, because There are 3 save points here. I don't even know why they have the first one. It's just kind of there. So I'm gonna hit the heart block over here. Because I am a little lower than max on health, and at this point this run is not PvP pace at all. So much bad stuff has happened that I would rather worry more about completion than about time. They really want to make sure you save your progress here. So many space bans. Thank you guys. You'll save, right? Nah, saving wastes frames. Here's Princess Peach. Held up by a barrier. So we tell her that we've been completing the Cobalt Star and that we have 5 pieces. We actually only collected 3, but the game thinks we have 5 because you do need 5 pieces in order to get through the entrance of the castle normally. Dang, high spirits. That's a little harsh. I don't think it's a bad thing when the game reminds you to save, because in this game you really want to save. It's like, it's a great way of telling you, yeah, you're in the final dungeon now. Yeah, so there are some cool areas that sadly do get skipped in this game, and while we don't have a glitchless category, we are working on an all bosses category. And what all bosses entails is still fighting every single boss in the game, so all 12 of the bosses that are normally in the old 80% route. And so that'll allow us to show off certain bits of content that, personally, some of my favorite dungeons end up getting skipped. So I'm going to save here, because if I fail this minigame, it wastes 4 minutes. Oops. Okay, fuck the babies. Darn it. Once you get stuck under here... Darn it. Once you get stuck under here, it's, like, impossible to get the babies on your back again. And then you have to press the X or Y button to switch over to them. My stair jumps are not working. There you go. Nobody's... Well, the game's community here, while it has grown substantially, is fairly small. So, nobody's really made a big push for, like, a glitchless category. That's fine by me. There's not a huge difference in overall time between the two. Alright, so this minigame is kind of dumb. I need to shoot the mothership 4 times without getting shot 4 times. I will generally hit 1 here because she usually tends to hang pretty low. Darn, I was just off. Okay, I took a hit. I'm gonna take another hit. It's fine. This minigame is pretty random and very, very much annoying. Are you kidding me? I was just a little late on that. Wow. I'd be so sad if I fail this. Okay. gives me a free hit there. And another one. Okay. There we go. Alright, so we're done with the minigame. It's time for this game's final boss, which is probably the most infamous part of this game. It's just how long it is. Okay. We're gonna probably be... we're gonna go overestimate a little bit here. So I'm gonna make sure I just have everything. Star trousers. Wrist badge. Darn, I have an extra mushroom. That's unfortunate. Oops. Keep hitting the save block. Doggone it. Alright, this cutscene's a nice break from my hands.
Oh yeah. No. Mario.
Yeah, this boss is ridiculous. Even though the HP of the first two phases is literally cut in half. The problem with having an extra mushroom... Oh yeah, I haven't explained Risk Badge. Risk Badge multiplies your offense by 3 times, and then cuts it by like 8% for every extra mushroom you have. Or like... increases your hit by 200% and then reduces it by 8% from there for each mushroom that you have. And this is any mushrooms, including 1-mut mushrooms. So I need to hit this exactly 16 times. And not drop copy flowers. My copy flower game has not been on point today, so it's a little more concerning. Okay, so red mushroom, or red pepper here, to increase offense. So I want to do less than 850 damage across 2 copy flowers here. Normally I can do about 500. So I want to do pretty decent on my first 2. Okay, so drop it just a little bit earlier this time. That was intentional, by the way, and looks like I did it just right. I really like that attack. Okay. This is good. This is right where I want to be for a quick kill on this boss. Which I've not gotten on the lower level routes in a very long time, so I'll be happy to see at least one thing go right for me this run. I mean, a few things have, but still. Alright, another other coffee flowers of about that level will kill her. If I don't, though, then we're gonna have to sit through several attacks, which really is not gonna be fun. There we go. Good fight. Usually we're at level 16. Here we're level 12. This is because we fight several other bosses. Or, sorry, we're level 15 because we skipped Kamek.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the twist. The twist to end all twists. So, as I've mentioned, multi-phase final boss. You didn't think that was the end of Princess Shroob, did you?
Oh yeah.
Well, so, turns out Peach has the last of the Cobalt Star shards, but she does not want to let us finish it. And several other characters in cutscenes that we skipped tell us, yeah, the Cobalt Star is kind of a bad idea. So Baby Bowser decides to complete it himself, because, remember, he was hiding on the mothership the entire time. And repairing the Cobalt Star is actually the worst thing that we can possibly do, because in it was Princess Shroob's older sister, which Peach actually sealed away in the Cobalt Star, which is why the Shroobs were really not happy with her. It's also probably why they kept her alive. So, now the Elder Princess Shroob, as she is called, is back. And Bowser gets turned into a flat-headed mushroom.
Oh no.
And the thing is, you spend the entire game gathering the shards to get in here, thinking that it's the way that you're going to beat them. Turns out you end up making things a lot harder. I really have no idea, Isaac, what level we would be. Probably a similar level, just using dire POW strats, but again, some of this boss's attacks are so stupid that, like, it's just really difficult to work with for dire POW strats. Also, you heal between the first and second phases here. Anyway, this is Elder Princess Shroob. Personally, I think she's cuter than her sister. I mean, look at those tentacles. And those eyes. Also, this character, that word she's saying is just destroy. She's just saying destroy over and over again.
Go. Oh, no.
So I want to destroy one of those ships, because that way, if I'm lucky, she'll do this attack here, which is a meteor. And the meteor I can actually get counterattack damage on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to kind of wait for her to swivel 4 times. What the heck? It's eating my input. That's not good. Okay, so we're gonna red peppers here. And coffee flowers. We will use a few different bros attacks for this fight, because there's 2 phases to this fight as well. And we don't have to worry about any particular damage threshold. So, that was not a very good coffee flowers. She will counter every attack that I do, which makes this fight kind of drag on a little bit, but thankfully most of her attacks... Oh wow, I missed. That sucks. Thankfully most of her attacks have pretty easy tells. It's the next phase that I'm really worried about, and why I have 4 1-up mushrooms in the first place. And also why I grabbed Luigi better armor. Because in theory you could just get good, dodge every attack, but it's not really practical against this fight. Mario ran out of peppers, so we'll refresh it. Thankfully, that was all of her turn. Darn. I know I pressed the button. I must have been like a frame or two off. Okay, so she's given me the faster of the two. If you see her mouth, like, jutting up and down, her charge attack will have a brief delay, so she'll, like, fake you out and try and bait you. It's very clever, actually, on the dev's part, but very annoying your first time if you don't know the cue. Hey, so first phase is down. So now we get into the really annoying part of this fight. But you get really good music to support. So I need to break down the feet tentacles. LMLM. Before I can hit the crown, which will, breaking the crown will allow me to hit her face, which her face is where I need to hit. I hate this attack with every fiber of my being. I also need to break the arms, because the arms keep getting their own turns, and I don't want that. What? That's nonsense. I have to claw grip this, because the slide from B to X is not a natural movement for me. Okay, so we're gonna refresh the red peppers. I have to sit through another turn. She automatically gets through an entire turn, so she'll get multiple attacks. Like, as soon as the fight transitions from the first to second phase, she gets multiple attacks. And most of her attacks aren't that hard to dodge, but one of them in particular is extremely scary. Actually, two of them are, but one of them, hopefully, we don't end up getting. Okay. So I'm going to deliberately drop this copy flower. We're kind of going a fairly slow strat because I did take an unnecessary hit. But this is going to ultimately be faster in the long run than anything else I'll be doing. I dropped flowers a little early there, it looks like. Okay, so mixed flowers. Okay, that's enough fire flower. Okay. This is copper flower. Yeah, that's what I want. So at this level, my mixed flower is not quite enough to consistently kill the crown, which is what I... Doggone it. I'm talking while I'm trying to speedrun. This has been par for the course with this run. I'm not even surprised at this point. Alright. New plan. I'm gonna unplug my mic. I don't like doing this, but it's kind of more important that I focus. Phew. My god. I apologize for having to pull my mic out on that one, but that fight is just a ball of stress and a half. So that's not the end of the run. That is not the end of the run. There's still about 10 minutes of stuff. But that's the hardest part by the far. I unplugged my mic. Sorry, I meant to say I needed to focus, but I ended up plugging it up before I finished the syllable, and I didn't have the time to do that. Yes, so there is one last fight, and it's pretty easy, and a couple of minutes of cutscenes. So we're gonna be, if going off of my splits is accurate, this is gonna be about 347. So it turns out that the cure for the shroobs is the tears of crying babies. And so the Professor concocts a substitute, which is of identical chemical signature, and just rains it on the entirety of the past to cure them of the mushrooms. I forgot there was text there. I hope they're synthetic, okay? Alright, so apparently he doesn't need the Cobalt Star for the time machine anymore either. So now we have our way back. Yes, the cure is crying babies. It solves everyone's problems. Yeah, so I would have liked to explain a little bit more about the final boss. The 3 tentacle spinning attack is really hard to dodge, and if you don't have, you know, the space pants, which in my PB I actually didn't have space pants equipped, Mario will die if he gets hit. And anytime somebody dies at that part of the fight, it's just really rough. When she gets into desperation mode, she also has an attack where she shoots 6 UFOs into a warp hole, and then hits you with them the next turn. So that attack becomes even harder to dodge. Alright, so again, we're gonna go just a little overestimate, but I'm gonna make sure I save here. Nice thing that this game does to make sure that this isn't past a point of no return is stuff will actually warp you to the room. Actually, I didn't even need to pick up the babies there. He will warp you to the final dungeon room. So, we have one last thing to solve. We didn't quite get rid of Elder Princess Shrew. We only turned her into a mushroom. And as you know, she kind of has the ability to move around inside another form. So Bowser eats her and takes control. So Bowser gets possessed kind of a lot in this series. I swear, I think Bowser has somebody else's soul in his body, like 4 times in this series.
Luigi.
Yes, Schnarfle. So this fight's really easy. This is Shrouzer. He doesn't have a conventional health bar, but you see on the top screen, Elder Princess Shroom's spirit is up there. Bowser's gonna haphazardly attack us over and over again, and every one of those, every attack we dodge hits Elder Princess Shroom. She has 10 full hearts of HP up there. Some attacks do 1 full heart, some only do half. But we don't get to attack. I have, in fact, come very close to dying on this fight. Never died in a run. I don't want this to be the first time. Today is not the day on that one. So, 3 on Mario, 1 on Luigi. You can tell where they're going based on the shadows, as well as their position, if you forget. Hey, it's Pidge01. Hi, Pidge. Alright, that is Shrouzer. So that's not quite time, but we're pretty close. No VGG, please no. Alright, so we just got like about 2 more minutes before time ends for the run. Just gotta put closing cutscene, because we do end on final text box. So I'll let you know when time is. So, I am the first of 2 Mario RPG runners. Tomorrow, Pidge01 here in chat will be doing a Mario RPG, most of the stuff trademark percent category run of Super Mario RPG. So definitely tune in for that. This will not be a PB. My PB is 340. I don't remember the exact time. It was offline and I didn't save my splits. I love this closing cutscene. It's just kind of a nice way to wind down your run once you know you've PB'd. My sum of best is a 334. World record is a 325, but that's just, I haven't optimized a lot of later game areas. And Snowy On is like crazy. So, apologies again for going overestimate. This is a tough game and had a lot of mistakes add up. So, I'll take a 347. So, time will be on this cutscene here. I'll call it out. It's when the last bit of text that says "Babies, thank you" fades out. Time. Alright. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I got a couple of bonus minutes, so. All right. So, I believe the next run after me will be Final Fantasy Legend 3 by Plexel the man himself, the guy who started RPG Limit Break. That's going to be a pretty interesting run, so definitely stick around for that one. Thanks again for watching. Thank you, Cartier, that means a lot. So, a few hiccups, but we'll get there. So, I believe High Spirits asked me to play out the credits, and the credits are great, so. I had a lot of fun with this. Admittedly, this is also a very hard game to commentate for. It's got a lot of, like, kind of relatively standard areas, and then a lot of areas that require a lot of focus. As much as I'd like to talk during the final boss, I just can't. Alright. Yeah, space pants. More space pants. Alrighty. So everyone, you have a good night. Thanks again for watching. Stick around, there's a lot of great runs coming up. Like I mentioned, more Mario RPG tomorrow, and Final Fantasy Legend by Puexel, who always puts on a good show. So, just enjoy the rest of the week. It's been a lot of fun. I really like this marathon. So, thanks again to High Spirits for putting this on and having us all get together and play long, fun RPGs. Well, we do have a couple of short ones coming up tonight. Alright, so have a good night. I'm gonna head off here.
Thank you very much for GhostKingG1 for Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. And hey, it's Pidge! Pidge! Legend! Sorry, I had to throw that out there. Okay, so coming up next is going to be Plexel with Final Fantasy Legend 3 Glitchless %. It's my time to finally get a nap. So I'm going to hand off the restreaming duties to Background Guy. So we are going to go offline for just a minute. But don't worry, it won't be long. So hang tight and we'll be right back.